Hey everybody, life's journey at 50 here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the this past year in 2025, kind of a little bit of like a review and just some of the highlights that I thought throughout all my travels and adventures this past year that I thought stood out kind of the most. So I'm not going to belabor it. Let's get right into it. So number 9 would probably be just the riding that I do on the Soul. So the Soul is the Southern Ohio Adventure Loop. Now, this track's been built by a couple of different people, and they do a fantastic job. They update it to keep it up to date, all those type of things. So there are some things in there that I have ridden, and it is just a fun time. At least for me, it's about an hour, hour and a half away from where I live. And so it feeds that soul of mine, no pun intended, when I go out and I ride there, just because it gets my blood pumping. I can work on some things, just ride and kind of stay, you know, in the mode and stuff like that. So that's kind of the number 9 for me. Number 8, which is kind of funny, is my new bikes. I bought 2 new bikes this year. I first bought the Aprilia. The second time I actually bought the Tuareg, the 660, and beautiful bike. I custom done it, probably overdid it. Whatever, I just didn't gel the second time with my Tuareg, and it lived a short life, and but it was a great bike. But as you can see, my second purchase was this F900 GS, and absolutely love this thing. This thing's a beast. It's a fantastic bike. I think the only thing I've ever really said about this whole thing is I just wish the gas tank was a little bit more than 3.8 gallon. I think that's really about the only downfall so far I've seen of this bike, and probably the price tag compared to all the other midway bikes. But this is an absolutely fantastic machine, and have no beefs, no nothing about having this bike. So, and that's number 8. So most people would say that a bike was their number 1 thing in the world. But if you've known this channel for a while, I go through bikes kind of regularly. So, but that was number 8. So number 7 was my last trip. You guys probably just saw some of it. Was my Florida trip. It was a last minute spur of the thing I took off with Tom Asher. And we went down and did this Dixie dual sport ride, a coast-to-coast thing. We started in Daytona. We finished on the Gulf of Mexico in one day. It was fun. It was a blast. The crew I rode with, didn't know hardly any of them. Met a couple of folks for dinner the night before, knew one other guy. And outside of that, just had a fantastic time with that whole crew. So really enjoyed that. The sand. Oh my God. I think you probably saw the sand video. Yes, there's sand in Florida. And, but I think it did pretty well on it for not riding in the sand a lot. Yes, I could have went faster, all that stuff. But when you're the sweep, sometimes you just have to suck it up because you're getting a whole mouthful of dust and everything, of sand. Helping others out, but it was a great trip. Short, sweet, but it was really a fun time. So that's number 7. Number 6 would be my buddy Kane from the Appalachian Adventure. Would be the Fool's Ride. He'll say 6. Why am I ranked 6? Well, because I've done that Fool's Ride now, I think 3 or 4 years in a row. It's always fantastic. The weather could be all over the place. I mean, one year we went, it was in the mid 70s, absolutely beautiful for April. Couldn't ask for anything better. Dry conditions. I rode the big bike, the 1250 GS back then, and actually the GSA too, all over the place, and really enjoyed it. Following year was Flood City. Thank God I had the beta was the first year that I had it. Because there was no way I would have been able to get a 1250 through some of that stuff that was there. Last year was great. Another event. It was kind of dry, kind of wet. It was kind of a mix or whatever. And I had at that time I had the Aprilia and the Beta. It had a blast there as well. So again, Fool's Ride was fantastic. There's some great, especially if you're a dual sporter, great opportunities up in the northeast section of Ohio, right on the border of Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, up that way, and it was just an absolutely great time. My buddy Jim hosts the event for Kane, so good stuff. So number 5, Whailing Wayne weekend. Chad's going to be mad at me probably because I ranked it at 5, and he's going to be like, 5? Why am I only 5? You call it a family reunion. It kind of got that from you, blah, blah, blah. Well, this year, it was a 5 for me because normally it's in my top 3, if not top 2. And the reason why is because yours truly had the lead rides this year. And I didn't volunteer. Well, I did volunteer because Chad was in a pinch. Someone had backed out. So I picked up the slack. Do I like to lead the rides? I like to lead BDRs. I kind of like to do that thing or whatever. But when it comes to dual sporters and you're riding the expert sections and you're leading the expert sections, I don't know if I'm necessarily the right guy. So, again, if you've seen those videos, it's not that I can't do it or I ride it and I can't do it. Some people would say maybe you can't, but it's not that I can't do it. I've proven that through the videos, but I know what expert dual sport guys would like to do or would like to do, period. And I still have nightmares with some T7 noise in the back of my, like on my tail the whole time. So I'm not a guy that will do the 50, 40, 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour going on single track trails. That's just not me, guys. Just not me. So yeah, so that's just not me. I'm not the guy that's going to lead the expert dual sport ride, and you're going to expect me to be ripping it through the woods or whatever. I'm going to be going old man style, which is 20 to 35, 40 miles an hour. And there's some times I got up there, but I paid the price a couple of times for it. But yeah, so I would say Whailing Wayne, and also, because I do what I do here, I didn't get a lot of footage that I would normally get by going around the event. And then I didn't get a chance to do the trials competition. That was for a little bit different reason, burnt my leg. But I leading the rides and doing that stuff, I like to go off and do adventure stuff. And in the past at Whailing Wayne, I've always had our core group of maybe 5 to 10 guys that we go out and we actually go exploring into the woods and cut a path through a lot of stuff that a lot of people just won't do or don't do at these events. And I kind of like to do that. So that's the only reason why it was knocked down. Outside of that, Whailing Wayne's always a fantastic time. Number 4, March Moto Madness. Had an excellent time as usual at March Moto Madness. We did some trails. We had some fun. We, again, it's always a solid time at March Moto Madness. And again, the weather can be anything down there too. You can have nice, sunny, dry weather, or it could be, 32 degrees in the morning, or it could be pouring the rain down with thunderstorms and stuff and flooding out. So, but March Moto Madness is always a fun time. Again, it kind of kicks off the year for everybody where you just reconnect with everybody. You're back on your bike, riding season is kicking off. And it's just always, the height and the excitement and everything there is always great. So number 3 was a new event that I went to this past year, Soggy Bottom. Again, Josh from Kissel's over in Pennsylvania. This event was absolutely fantastic. I can't go in 2026. It's their 10th year anniversary of it. Unfortunately, there's some scheduling conflicts that came up and I just can't make it. I am super bummed about that, because I would say Soggy Bottom is absolutely just great. They do a fantastic job with the event. Now, it is in 3rd week of July, and where you go, if it's hot and humid, it is hot and humid. You are going to be roasting your cojones off. Let's put it like that. So it is, it's hot. It rained a little bit, but it was mostly in the low 90s, a lot of humidity. So just, get a lot of water and suck it up, buttercup, because you're in for it. Those trails out there are not for the faint of heart on some of that stuff. I'm glad I had my dual sport. I could have rode the 900, and I did through some of that stuff. But yeah, you can see why it's mostly a dual sport event. It's kind of like Canes, just, you know, a little bit different of a territory or whatever, but very similar in that aspect. But excellent, excellent job by Josh and them. I really thought that was a fantastic event. Number 2 would be the launch of the Southeast BDR down in Atlanta. Luckily enough, obviously, it was on the East Coast here. It was, I think, beginning of March, end of February, beginning of March 1st, I think it was. I rode actually in the cold. I think it was, never got above 35 degrees, I think, from the time I left Cincinnati to get to Georgia. I don't think it got above 35, 40 degrees. And definitely on the way back, it never got above 38 degrees. But when I got to Atlanta, it was great. We had a nice little day ride. And then you got to see all the people from the BDR. You got to see the launch of the Southeast BDR. And that was really a fun time. Again, before March Madness, you get a chance, go down there and see a lot of people that you don't normally see and just interact and mingle with people. So that was really a nice event. If you've never been to a launch of a BDR party or whatever, highly recommend it. You know, they do a whole thing at night too after the movie, you know, just some hors d'oeuvres and, you know, finger food, and they talk about stuff. So it's really, really a nice event. And then number 1 would have to be the Idaho BDR with my buddies. Dan and Greg and myself. It was only 3 of us this year on this BDR. Long haul, we put in some serious miles, over 6,000 miles to do that trip. It was epic. It was an epic BDR. Idaho is not busy. It's very scenic BDR, and it's a great BDR. Just technical enough to have some fun. Now, if you do a few of the expert sections, obviously you've got your work cut out for you. You know, we didn't even do the major one at Trinity Lakes. The guys just weren't up for it, and it looked pretty rough. Now, we tried Burnt Knob Hill. If I haven't seen that video, pretty comical to a certain degree. But we gave that one a shot, and then we did do Grizzly Mountain. Grizzly Mountain was great. And if you can make it to the top of Grizzly Mountain and get that epic view, it was stunning to be on top of there at Grizzly Mountain. So highly recommend the Idaho BDR. It was just a great trip. The 3 of us just had a blast. And yeah, it was that would probably be my number 1 thing that we did last year, or I did last year, was the Idaho BDR. And again, it's just because I love getting on the bike. I love putting the miles in, and I love doing those epic epic trips that, especially when you're with your crew and the buddies that you know so well, and there's just so much laughter and, you know, and carrying on and, you know, breaking each other's chops and busting each other's chops, whatever. And it was just a great trip to hang out with those guys. So anyways, that was my top events that I did in 2025. There was a lot more things that, you know, I kind of hit, miss, did some different things or whatever. But these were the epic adventures that I had that really just, you know, feed your soul out there. And hopefully that's what you do. You kind of map your year out or whatever, however you go about doing it. And then it just really feeds into kind of your adventure, what you're doing, and kind of the experiences that you want to have. And in 2026, shaping up to have some great moments as well. And hopefully I'll be able to report back at a year from now and tell you what my 2026 was all about. So anyways, hey, thanks for sticking around. If you can hit that like, subscribe, notification button, over 4,000, absolutely blown away by that. It continues to keep growing. Hopefully the content and stuff that I'm bringing is helpful, and just appreciate you guys being along for the ride. So we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.